Number 1. Police officer fired for installing a GPS scrambler in his police cruiser. In a recent incident, a Clinton police officer faced termination after he had installed a GPS scrambler in his patrol vehicle. The officer in question, Christopher McKinney, had explained his actions by citing his father's affinity for conservative commentator Alex Jones. Internal Affairs documents revealed that on September 7, 2022, Clinton Police Chief Vaughn Becker had informed Lieutenant Carl Bailey and Lieutenant Larry Miller that Officer McKinney's GPS unit was not appearing on the system. 2 days later, Lieutenant Miller and Lieutenant Bailey approached Officer McKinney regarding the malfunctioning GPS device, as described in Lieutenant Bailey's written account. Lieutenant Bailey had reported that he had approached Officer McKinney's vehicle, unit number 2214, and had observed a small black device with an antenna plugged into a power port. Dashcam footage from the confrontation had captured Officer McKinney claiming that the device was a Wi-Fi extender.
What you got plugged in here?
That's my Wi-Fi extender.
Lieutenant Bailey continued his questioning about the suspicious device, asking,
Sure it's not a scrambler?
No, my GPS works fine, sir.
McKinney had told the lieutenant that he had obtained the device from his father, who had heard conspiracy theories about the harmful effects of 5G technology, popularized by the notorious conspiracy theorist and political commentator Alex Jones. Following the incident, Chief Becker had sent a letter to Officer McKinney, notifying him of an internal investigation into his conduct. The investigation had concluded that Officer McKinney had been deceitful and had knowingly and unwillingly tampered with records, as stated in a summary letter authored by Lieutenant Bailey. Attorney Don Bosch also talked about the potential ramifications of a police officer getting fired for willfully lying to another police officer.
It jeopardizes any case they may have been involved in, either as a witness or an arresting officer.
Consequently, Lieutenant Bailey had expressed his recommendation for Officer McKinney's termination from the Clinton Police Department in the same letter. It is worth noting that Officer McKinney had previously been reprimanded for neglecting mandatory training and driving at reckless speeds of up to 109 miles per hour. Additionally, the Clinton City School District had also lodged complaints against Officer McKinney, accusing him of regularly dining with his girlfriend on school grounds while serving as a school resource officer at Clinton Elementary. An email from Kelly Johnson, the director of schools in the city of Clinton, detailed an incident where one teacher reported that she witnessed her rubbing his leg while visiting. Johnson had also mentioned an incident in which Officer McKinney had sat in his girlfriend's car in the parking lot while a student attempted to escape through the back door. Currently, the Clinton Police Department is seeking to revoke Officer McKinney's state certification, which permits him to work as a police officer. If you thought this incident was stupid, wait till you see our next story, where an officer mistakes a blind man's walking stick for a weapon and then proceeds to put him in cuffs. Number 2. Police arrest blind man. In a recent incident in Florida, a visually impaired man had found himself in a truly terrifying situation where he had been mistaken for carrying a firearm and subsequently placed under cuffs. The events unfolded on October 31st, 2022 in Lake City, west of Jacksonville, on a foggy and overcast morning when drivers were using their headlights. The officers had stopped a man named James Hodges, who had been returning from jury duty after observing him enter a crosswalk against a traffic control signal. According to the arrest report, Hodges appeared to have a silver chrome pistol with a white grip in his back right pocket. However, upon closer inspection, the object had turned out to be his folded-up navigational aid, which he had used as a cane. The body camera footage had captured the encounter as one officer, identified as Deputy Jamie Goad, approached Hodges and started interrogating him about the item in his pocket. Hodges explained that it was a navigational aid, but the officer expressed suspicion and had been insistent on verifying that it wasn't a firearm.
Hi there!
Hey.
What's this in your back pocket? I just saw you walking it.
It's a navigational aid. What's the problem? You a tyrant?
Yeah, I am actually. What's your name and date of birth?
I don't have to give that unless
Yes, sir. I was investigating.
You have reasonable.
Do you want me to put you in handcuffs right now? Yes, sir, I do.
Hodges had questioned the reason for the stop, and in response, Deputy Goad escalated the situation, accusing him of being armed and making threats of arrest.
What is your suspicion?
It looked like you're carrying a gun in your back pocket. I'm stopping to make sure you're carrying it properly. You don't
Have you
to...
ensured that it's not a firearm?
No, you keep turning so I can't see it. You don't have to be to me.
Hodges asked to talk to the officer's supervisor, who had also been present at the scene. Sergeant Randy Harrison joined the conversation and backed up his subordinate, saying that the navigational stick could very easily be confused for a weapon.
Sir, what's she stop you for?
For a walking stick.
And it could look like a weapon. She asked you to present it, okay?
Now she's asking me for ID.
Okay.
I don't need the ID unless there's reasonable articulated suspicion
that I have committed a crime, am committing a crime, or about to do a crime.
He continued to argue with Hodges, saying that Deputy Goad's suspicion warranted that Hodges provide her with his ID, and failure to do so would result in him getting detained.
Sir, and her suspicion was that you were armed, okay? And she's asking you for your ID.
Well, now she has verified that I am not armed.
Okay.
So there is no
You have
problem.
your ID or not?
I do have my ID, but you don't need it.
Okay.
The encounter took a disturbing turn when both officers decided to handcuff and arrest Hodges, despite confirming at the start of the whole interaction that Hodges was not carrying any sort of dangerous weapon. While he was getting cuffed, Hodges asked for both officers' names and badge numbers, which led to additional unwarranted charges.
All right, Mr. Hodges. Was that hard?
It's gonna be. I want your name and your badge number.
You know, I put him in jail for resisting.
Okay. All right, let's go.
The sheriff's office began its investigation on November 3rd, 2022, when the incident was brought to their attention, said Sheriff Mark Hunter. An internal report written after Hodges filed his complaint against the officers also states that the officers ultimately arrested him with insufficient probable cause. The arrest was made after Sergeant Harrison gave an unlawful order to make an arrest after probable cause did not exist, the report states. Following the investigation into the incident, the Columbia County Sheriff's Office determined on November 7, 2022, that the officers had in fact committed policy violations. Sergeant Harrison faced a demotion and a suspension without pay for 7 days, while Deputy Goad had also been suspended without pay for 2 days. Both officers had been scheduled to undergo remedial training on civil rights. Sheriff Hunter acknowledged that the officers' actions were not driven by ill intent, but rather by frustration and a failure to rely on their training. Nonetheless, he emphasized that such conduct was unacceptable, and steps would be taken to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. James Hodges' partner, Rutha M. Jenkins, had expressed her shock over the incident, noting that once the officers realized it was a cane, they should have understood he was blind. The incident left Hodges and his loved ones deeply disturbed, and they felt that the officers involved should have shown more care and consideration. Hodges has spent more than 24 hours in jail on charges of resisting an officer. A month later, he filed a lawsuit against the sheriff's office for monetary damages. His attorney, John Phillips, said his client was unlawfully arrested. People normally think of federal civil rights cases or police cases in the form of shootings or death, and certainly that's most of the cases we take. But we've got to stop the systemic abuses, said Phillips. To have accountability on the small cases stops issues in their tracks before they become big ones. If you want to watch more videos of cops getting in trouble for doing stupid things, then please subscribe to the channel.